there is a legit chance that the Eagles are definitely making a move by the trade deadline. There's no joke about it. I think the Eagles have a lot of interest. I think the Eagles are definitely seeing what's out there, who's on the trade block, and obviously taking advantage of a lot of situations. We're going to go over a couple things and some new news around Jalen Hurts and the Eagles on this contract extension. Should be very interesting. Let's get straight in.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, Eagles are still on their bye week. And by this time, by tomorrow, or if you're watching it Sunday, depending if you're watching Saturday night or Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles are heading into their week to get prepared for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So should be a fun one this week. Very excited for it. But the trade deadline is definitely something we need to talk about. We've kind of been, this is going to be the thing where a lot of rumors are going to show up, and Eagles have shown interest in a few players. And then you could talk about Brian Burns. You could talk about obviously getting more help on the edge. And I think that's what's been really important for the Eagles so far. Not much on the running back market. I mean, look, sometimes what you hear is not always the best thing. Usually Howie does something totally different when you hear a name too many times, or it could be something just totally just out of left field with what Howie does. Now, first, I want to go over some news right now. It looks like the Chiefs, Eagles, and Rams have called the Panthers on acquiring the defensive end, Brian Burns. Okay, this is according to ESPN. It says NFL general manager said the minimum for Burns is 2 first-round picks. We've talked about it, guys. 53 games, 29.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and he leads in pressures, second right behind Nick Bosa. Okay, obviously the Panthers are cleaning house right now. Now, when you negotiate, okay, first of all, let's go over the teams. Obviously, the Eagles have called, not surprised. The Chiefs, I can see them making a big move. They did restructure Travis Kelce, so I don't know if that was towards maybe paying, Brian Burns a long-term extension. I mean, they only saved a few million out of it, so I don't know if that's the only move that they were doing to kind of free up some cap space. I heard it was Odell Beckham going to the Chiefs. There was a lot of rumors with that, which I don't think that's going to happen either. The Rams, I'm just like, how many picks do they even have any draft picks? I mean, I don't even think they do. So 2 first-round picks is a lot. It's a lot. A guy that's 24 years old, and look, if you think the Saints pick isn't going to work out, our pick is going to be very late in the draft. So what are you going to do here? You guys need to know that just because it says 2 first-round picks, it doesn't mean much of anything, because obviously the bar is going to be very high on the start of negotiations. Okay, that's what's really important right now. Usually negotiations are going to start out. When you start negotiating, if you're selling something, you're gonna put the highest amount on that list when you're trying to trade a player. And I think potentially it will go down. I don't realistically think it's going to be 2 first-round picks. I don't. I'm not saying that, he is good. There's no doubt about it. And I think if you acquire Brian Burns, your defensive line is going to be set. And I think even with Fletcher Cox leaving, Jordan Davis takes his spot. Hargrave will probably get an extension. I don't know. There's just so many players right now. I don't think you're trading for a guy like this unless he's a long-term answer, not only for this year, but for years to come, especially, like I said, you can have him for four years if you really want. And I think they could definitely use his services. How much is it going to cost 2 first-round picks, though? If it's actually 2 first-round picks, I can't touch this trade. I just don't know. Obviously, you're not getting rid of 2 first-round picks for this year. It would have to be a first-rounder for this year and a first-rounder for the year after that, for 23 and 24. That's like the only way it's really going to work. So obviously it probably is going to be. I don't think a team is going to give up 2 firsts in one draft. I think you're going to give up a first for 23 and 24. I think that makes more sense. But yeah, I mean, this would be great, but kind of worries me. But at the same time, I know Howie's not going to be stupid. Howie's not going to get fleeced. And if it's not going to be Brian Burns, it will be somebody else at the end of the day. So the Eagles have shown interest in other defensive ends. The Eagles have shown interest, and that's really it. I mean, it's really just been the defensive end position that they've shown interest. They've shown interest in. Sorry, I can't say. So we'll see what happens. I don't think this is going to be the price. I think it will go down, and not by a lot, but I think it'll go down a little bit. Maybe it'll cost a first and maybe a third rounder, or a fourth rounder, or some day 3 pick or something like that. I don't know. But Howie knows how to maneuver. Howie knows how to move. How to acquire players and how to fleece teams, and it just seems like we're always on the winning side of these trades. So when it comes to trades, and if it's not the right fit, guys, like if we don't get Brian Burns, I'm not going to be mad about it. Like, look, Derek Barnett had an ACL. Patrick Johnson kind of took his place. So they really have been looking at Brian Burns and obviously another contract in Bears defensive end Robert Quinn that is due a lot of money right now. And apparently the rumors with the Bears is that they're going to pay off a lot of his contract. They're going to pay off a good portion of it because it's just too much of dead cap for them to handle, I guess. With 2 more years, I think. Robert Quinn, I think, has 2 more years left on his contract. I forgot. The numbers are between like 13 to like 16, $17 million. I forgot what a year. I forgot what the contract was. But there's still a couple more years left. I don't know if the Eagles are going to acquire him, trade for Robert Quinn, which would definitely be a lot cheaper draft compensation wise because he's an older player. I don't know if this would be a luxury trade for the Eagles to rent him out this year, or is it maybe like a 2-year type deal or something like that? I don't know. Or if the Eagles are going to redo his contract to make him, to have him stay here for a few more years. At the end of the day, of course, you want the younger player in Brian Burns. Like, yeah, I like Robert Quinn, but he's getting up there. But he's very productive. But is he a long-term answer? Probably not. Most likely not. There will come a time where he's not going to be productive. So, and I'm not saying he's not. He's been doing so well. It's hard not to try to acquire him. So that could be definitely an option. And if they did, I'd be very happy about it. But getting Brian Burns is definitely the top choice because he's young. Obviously, his resume is really good. Second pressures. We need pressure badly. We need another edge guy. Hassan Reddick is just not enough. We just need one more piece this defensive line. And I think adding Brian Burns will give you more flexibility for this draft next year. Then you can focus on other positions next year if you really. Because I think they're going to be able to get a lot of depth signings between defensive tackle. In next year's draft, I'm saying it could be running back. It could be almost anything at this point. Right tackle behind Lane Johnson. I mean, if Kelsey retires, they need a legit backup. They're going to need a legit backup for Cam Jurgens. I mean, a lot of different moves they can make next year. What they're looking at in this draft. So if you're not going to get Will Anderson, that Saints pick is not going to look good. It's a tough schedule. The Saints have lost 2 straight so far. Should be the 4th or 5th overall pick as of right now. But we'll see what happens down the road. Like, it's too early to tell. Too early in the season. As of right now, 7th week of the season is starting, so it is what it is. And we'll get down to the news when we can get it. So the Saints pick looks really good at number 4 overall. Couldn't be any happier about that. Just keep losing, and we can get this done. Imagine the Eagles having a great record this year, getting to the playoffs, winning some games. God knows what they're going to do in the playoffs. God knows what's going to happen, the future of this team going to the playoffs this year. But have a high pick behind it would be a top 10 pick behind it would be fantastic going. So that'd be really cool. Yeah. So I mean, the news it just keeps pouring out and pouring out and pouring out. Brian Burns is definitely I think the number 1 target on their list. I think Robert Quinn might be the second, and I don't know what else they have. What else Howie Roseman has up his sleeve, so it should be really interesting. And then there's some other news that came out as well that talked about Jalen Hurts, and this is from Matt Lombardo on the NFL, and said that the Eagles strongly prefer to sign QB Jalen Hurts to an extension this offseason. Well, obviously, I mean, this is a kind of a stupid quote because, of course, they would want to sign him. That's what they're trying to figure out right now. But have the Eagles already made up their minds about giving Jalen Hurts an extension? Have the Eagles, has the front office, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, the coaching staff, have they agreed that they are going to work something out this offseason? Now, they can't do anything during this year. This is the 3rd year of Jalen Hurts' contract on a rookie deal. So during the 3rd years, they can't extend him during this year or anything. They literally have to wait until this is over. They only give a rookie an extension off a rookie contract going into his 4th year in that 4th off season of his contract. So I guess that makes more sense because people ask me, why don't they just restructure him during the year this year? Maybe he'll be cheaper if they sign him early. I understand that, but those are the rules. That they can't do anything with this contract until literally the year is over for the NFL in 2022, going into 2023. So, I mean, look, at this point, when you look at all the 6 games that we've played, yeah, he definitely deserves it. But I think we need to see more. We need to see more. Look, guys. Like you look at teams like the Cardinals that were 7-0. What were they? 7-0 last year. Did we? The Steelers. Remember the Steelers were 11. Remember the Steelers at one point were 11-0 and they fell apart. Like we're 6-0 right now, but there's a lot that goes into what we're doing, and obviously the second half play is going to matter. And I mean, it's not going to matter with defensively for Jalen Hurts because the defense screws up. It's not on Jalen Hurts for that. It really depends on the play calling, Shane Steichen getting these guys prepared, and how they treat the second half of these games. The Eagles have not played a full game this season. When I talk about a full game, I'm talking they score in all 4 quarters. We have not had a complete game yet. And obviously I'm nitpicking because obviously there's always things to talk about with this team, and I totally get it. But I want to see this team against the Bills. I want to see this team. I want this defense to go against a quarterback that could score in all 4 quarters at any time. And to see that these teams every week, how they're preparing against the Eagles every single week, giving us their best because we're undefeated. And we get undefeated every single week. Teams are going to want to give us their best, and on top of everything else, I kind of want to see how they're going to defend the Eagles, and how a lot of teams couldn't defend this run game. The run game has been spectacular. What the Eagles are doing in the second half defensively, I mean, I'm trying to see if teams. I mean, we were able defensively to kind of run the clock down, which I really do like. But at the same time, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars, and they're playing it very safe right now. And it's not really on the players; it's on Gannon and how he's treating his defense. I got to see. I haven't seen a complete game. As much as we're 6-0 right now, it still bothers me that they win in this category of play, that how they're playing in the second half. It's just it bothers me a little sometimes because I'm like, there's gonna be a team that we're gonna be up a few scores and we're just going to waste as much time as possible. I don't get why the Eagles don't try to run the score up. I don't know why they don't do that. I don't know. It's football at the end of the day to me. So every game I've watched, like, we're almost having heart attacks because they do so well in the first half, whether it's first or second quarter, and that's it. And then when you get to that second half, not saying they never scored in the second half, but, they take their foot off the gas a little. We keep talking about taking your foot off the gas every single week, and it makes you nervous. Don't tell me it doesn't make you nervous, because it definitely does. I understand there's some games where you can waste 7-8 minutes of a quarter, which against the Cowboys, they wasted a lot of time in that third quarter. That fourth quarter came, and I mean, it came and went real fast. I mean, it was quick. Defense tackling in bounds. The offense is just getting time of possession and running the clock as much as possible. So, I mean, they've been doing a good job. Not saying, like, it's working. Like, it's working. The issue I have with it is just, like, if you get into the playoffs and you're facing like a monster bona fide team, offense and defense, okay, is this going to work against a really good quarterback? Is this going to work against a defense? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I get at. Like, because we only control who we face on our schedule, and we faced some good teams, we faced some bad teams, we faced some teams that have lost against us and have done a lot better. Like the Vikings have been really good. Their teams are just, some scrappy teams that play tough but aren't going to be really good this year. So I totally get that. But it comes down to, it really just comes down to personnel. It comes down to, are they ever going to be aggressive in the second half? Are they going to play how they play in those first 2 quarters, how they play in the second half? Can they run the score up? Do they want to run the score up? it's very tricky to do this when in the playoffs you're just going to try to, because I don't know, as a coach, like for me, like I don't they can play however they want to play, but for me as a defensive coordinator, like I am trying my hardest not to play too cautious, and I feel like it's going to burn this team some way. And I'm not saying this team's going to be undefeated or anything like that, but I'm saying when you get into the playoffs and you face a very good caliber offense and they figure us out, and there's just a team that figures us out, you know, and look, like I said, this is just nitpicking. This isn't, I'm not saying this team is horrible. Like, people like to twist my words around. I don't know why. But there's always something to talk about because this team, like I said, has not played a complete game. You know, it's always one or the other. And it does, like I said, makes me really nervous. Like, as a defensive coordinator, if I lost a game because I played cautious, it would burn me for years to know I lost a game, especially if it's a playoff game, especially if it's a big playoff game. Like, if I'm a coach and I played very cautious and they scored on us a couple times in the second half because we played cautious and we lost, I don't know, man. I think if Gannon does that, I think Gannon's gone regardless after this year, but I think if he does that, it's gonna be interesting. So I'm not gonna try to put too much on it. This video is as long as it is right now. That's how it's pretty much been. So let me know what you guys think about the Jalen Hurts contract. Let me know what you guys think about, obviously, the Brian Burns news. The Eagles did call the Panthers about Brian Burns, one of three teams, Chiefs and Rams. Rams, how the hell are they going to pull this off? I don't know. But it's going to be an interesting, very interesting trade deadline, and to see, like, how far this team can go. It's exciting. It's really exciting. And we're winning, so can't really complain. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.